Music, quite base it is, yep. Luckily, you have arrived at the zeitgeist of good music opinions, the epitome of good music opinions, the epicest, if you will. Uh, Top 10 favorite records of 2021, plus a few extra. To begin, let's quickly go over a few extra, or the honorable mentions of 2021. These records are good, but weren't my absolute faves. However, I still have to give them a shout out. First, Illuminati Hottie's new record, Let Me Do One More, is an enjoyable indie punk record, and certainly one of the best of the year. Second, Aesop Rock's newest record, Garbology, is an enjoyable listen, but I don't feel it's as good as his two previous records. Still worth a shout out though. Thirdly, Slow Tie's 2021 album Tyron is an amazing hip hop record that deserves a shout out. The first half is full of bangers, and the second half is more introspective. One of my faves of the year. Finally, potentially the most controversial to not make the top 10 is Little Sim's 2021 project, Sometimes I Might Be Introverted. The reason this one isn't on my top 10 is that, to put it simply, I just don't listen to a lot of new music. I've only heard this record a few days ago, and it hasn't sat with me long enough for me to put it on my top 10. With those finished off, let's start the top 10. At number 10, I'm already breaking the rules and including an EP. Beach Bunny's 2021 EP, Blame Game. This EP was a fantastic listen. The only reason I ended up placing it this low is because it's an EP, not an album. If there's one thing I want from this, it would be for this EP to be longer, but I guess it is an EP. That's kind of what an album is for. Closely following Blame Game, in ninth place, I have Tyler the Creator's Call Me If You Get Lost. Similarly to Aesop Rock's Garbology, I feel like this record is significantly weaker than some of Tyler's previous work. I think Igor and Flower Boy were fantastic, and I just don't get the same feeling from this record. However, it is still quite a good record, I shan't lie. At number 8, probably the most controversial take, is a grand total of one half of Weezer's 2021 output. Their January record, OK Human, this is the point where we reach the albums I absolutely love from this year, and this record is certainly one of them. Weezer pulls off the orchestral sound so amazingly. Unfortunately, highlights were mostly loaded on the first half of the album, with the record fizzling out a bit by the end. That's not to say it still doesn't have highlights past the halfway mark, though. For example, Dead Roses is definitely a highlight. Even considering that, though, there are no songs I would consider to be bad on the album. I think it is their best record since 2016's The White Album, which was also produced by Jake Sinclair. Good old Jacob, making Weezer not suck. For 7th place, I am cheating yet again with a record released in late 2020. That record in question is the third part of the Man on the Moon trilogy, Man on the Moon 3, The Chosen One, by Kid Cudi. This record is amazing, and unlike Weezer's OK Human, the best songs are sprinkled throughout, including the amazing 4-song run from Heavens on Earth through to Sad People. Besides Elsie's Baby Boy, which sounds like it samples House of the Rising Sun by The Animals, there aren't really any songs I dislike on this project. In 6th place is Turnstile's 4th studio album, Glow On, which sounds like the love child of dream pop and hardcore punk. Also just so happens to be one of the best records of the year. Who's shocked? Glow On. Well, glows on. With amazing songs from front to back like Mystery, Don't Play, and my absolute favorite, Holiday, which I can listen to for hours on end. The cover is incredibly pretty on top of that, too. It absolutely must be one of my favorite records from this year, and it should be one of yours too. Or else. We are now down to the top 5. Speaking of which, 5th place goes to For the First Time by Black Country, New Road. I refused to listen to this record for so long, but finally came around to it about 2 weeks ago. This is one of my favorite rock records of this year, with Sunglasses and Science Fair being my personal favorites from the album. In 4th place is Indigo to Souza's 2021 effort, Any Shape You Take, which is an immaculate indie pop record with amazing songs throughout, except for maybe the first track, 17. But the rest is more than enough to make up for that one. You must listen and love it, or I'll be seeing your father this coming Friday. Taking the bronze medal is the ska remaster of Jeff Rosenstock's 2020 project, No Dream. Ska Dream takes the 2020 album, flips it on its head, turns the aggressive tracks to more slow burners, and makes the slower ones more punky. And of course, there are horns and ska guitars all over this record, as well as new verses. To be quite honest, I think this one ended up being better than his 2020 album. Some of the songs I disliked on his last project, I liked more on this project, and the ones I loved on that project, I love even more now. Second place goes to Genesis Owusu's 2021 genre blending project, Smiling with No Teeth, which follows the theme of two black dogs, depression, and racism. My favorites on this record are The Other Black Dog, Waitin' on Ya, Don't Need Ya, Smilin' with No Teeth, I Don't See Color, Whip Cracker, and No Looking Back. The final of which, funny enough, sounds like the theme song from Full House. The only song I was not too keen on was Drown, which sounds very 80s pop, which is an aesthetic I'm not too big on, but again, nothing that holds the album back too much. My top album of this year, By the Time I Get to Phoenix, by Injury Reserve. As a self-proclaimed Injury Reserve stan, I love this album. The record was recorded before the death of member Stepa J. Groggs, but still carries so much emotion. The posthumous appearances are very touching. This record for me is not necessarily something I can casually listen to. Whereas the rest I can play in the background, this one is much more important to me. I hope to see Richie continue making music, either continuing from here as Injury Reserve with Parker, or under a different moniker. Okay, besties, so that was my top 10 of the year. Comment below if you think I was incredibly based, or if I missed something. Don't comment if you think my opinions are cringe, because you're probably wrong. You can turn off the video now, by the way.